Hello, everyone, and welcome to the University of Wisconsin Integrated Graduate Program in Nutrition and Dietetics virtual open house. We're excited that all of you can join us, and we're ready to tell you about all of the great aspects of our program.
And before we do that, just a little bit of housekeeping. So as a reminder, if you can just keep yourself muted, we will take questions at the end of the presentation. So you can, at that point, unmute yourself or put the question in the chat box. The session is being recorded. So if you need to leave early or have a classmate that's unable to attend, we'll be sending out the recording to all registrants after the presentation. And if you would like to change your pronouns, you can hover over your name and click change your name, or click more and you can change your name if you so wish to do so. So my name is Michaela Schuchart, and I am the program manager of the online Master of Science in Clinical Nutrition program that is housed within the Department of Nutritional Sciences at the University of Wisconsin-Madison. So I work very closely with Robin and the cohort of integrated graduate students. In addition, I am also an inpatient dietitian at UW Health as staff relief just about 1 day a week. But that allows me to really kind of keep feet in both places, which is very beneficial. And I enjoy a lot as you go through the program. So I'll hand it over to Robin to let her introduce herself.
As Michaela said, I'm Robin Christ, and so I am the program director. I guess, overarching the entire program, even though I think Michaela and I very much kind of manage the program together. Just from an Ascend or an accreditation standpoint, my name will be on your verification statement. So I work on the UW Health side, and I'm also a clinical nutrition manager, and I oversee all of the inpatient adult nutrition care at our main hospital, which is located downtown. And then we have another hospital, UW-Madison Hospital. Just like the name says, it's on the east side of Madison. So those are kind of my two roles. All right, so during our time today, we'll provide an introduction to what a graduate program is and competency-based education. We'll share our mission, goals, and objectives. We'll discuss the specific facets of our program and what makes it unique. We'll review the application process, and then we'll have time for some questions and answers. So we are a graduate program, or a GP, that follows a future education model. What largely sets a GP program apart from something like a standalone dietetic internship is that we use competency-based education model. So we have 37 competencies that students must achieve over the course of our program, and each competency has associated performance indicators that help determine if a student has demonstrated competence. So a future education model also recognizes that competency is achieved over time. So we really moved away from the pass-fail mentality of a rotation. So we don't expect that you can do everything your first rotation or experience, in the clinical setting. And this model really allows us and you to kind of see growth over the course of the program. Each competency is assigned as a K, S, or D, or in other words, it's a knows, shows, or does. And this is based on the Miller's Pyramid of Clinical Competence. Our program is also designed to allow you to apply your learning from the classroom in a supervised practice environment simultaneously. And the other important thing to note is because this is a degree granting program, all requirements of the degree, so of your master's degree, must be met in order to receive your verification statement. So our future education model also warrants new terminology. So on this slide, you can see how we compare and contrast our 22 standards language for a coordinated program or a dietetic internship to our graduate degree program. So for example, we no longer refer to you as an intern, you're a student, and that is because you're no longer enrolled solely in an internship. You are a graduate student. Similarly, our students no longer engage in rotations with a start and end date, but rather you have experiential learning until you're competent. The GP standards have also moved away from using the knowledge and competency requirements for dietitians, or those KRDNs or CRDNs, and we have those competencies and performance indicators that I mentioned. So who are we at UW Health? We have been ranked the #1 hospital in Wisconsin for 11 years in a row now. We are an academic medical center and a tertiary care hospital with many centers of excellence, areas of specialty, ambulatory primary care clinics, ambulatory specialty care clinics, and then we have a lot of public health opportunities as well. So leading educators at UW-Madison and practitioners at UW Health have partnered to create programming that provides the skills and knowledge needed by the next generation of nutrition professionals, combining applicable online graduate nutrition courses with best practice guidelines. So I'm sure you're all aware, but in 2024, a minimum of a graduate degree, along with an Ascent accredited dietetic internship, is required for entry-level registered dietitian eligibility. So with our program, you obviously meet both of those requirements. So our program mission is to provide a progressive and effective course of study that integrates supervised experiential learning and coursework in dietetics to prepare graduates for practice and development, and develop high-performing RDNs who are lifelong learners and ready to meet the demands required of future dietitians. And so we have 2 goals. And our first goal is that graduates will secure and demonstrate evidence-based knowledge, high-level problem solving, and critical thinking skills to prepare them for the future of food and nutrition practice. And then our second goal is simple, but we actually have multiple metrics to help us determine if we've achieved that goal, but that our graduates will pursue their career goals successfully.
And that is a good segue to our next slide, because we're going to kind of start with the success of our program before we get into the details. So UW Health has actually had a very successful dietetic internship since 1953. So we have been kind of operating and training dietitians for many decades. It has been since 2018 that a formal partnership began with the University of Wisconsin, in that we now have the pairing of the required graduate degree with the quote old internship. So I'm going to show you some outcomes and data. And this first is that of our graduate program, which we do acknowledge we are in our second cohort, but we still would like to say we have a 100% first-time pass rate for our graduates of this program. And that compares to the first year of national data, where the future graduate program's first-time pass rate was only 74%. So we're really proud of that, that as our formal partnership began, our students are very successful. The second is that we find that our graduates are hired very successfully in clinical, public health, sports, and food systems jobs relatively quickly after they pass that RD exam. And as we learned this past year, many of them actually had employment in the process before they sat and took the exam. With the introduction of the graduate degree and kind of the transition moving in 2024, we've also seen that our students are being hired directly from our program to many other academic medical centers throughout the country. And so particularly on this slide, we have had graduates go work for the University of Minnesota, Indiana University Health, Northwestern, the Children's Hospital of Wisconsin over in Milwaukee, and also the Mayo Clinic. So we do feel that our program prepares graduates, they are ready and willing to hire entry-level dietitians at these great institutions. So this slide is showing approximately the past 4 years of job placement. So this is after we combined the master's degree with the internship in 2018, and then our future graduate cohort. So it's about 70 students over the past 4 years. So you can see that majority of our graduates have found work in the clinical sector. And as you see, that is because our medical nutrition therapy track does have the most students. Our public health and food systems tracks are a bit newer, but they are still finding employment in a variety of sectors in public health. And then we have students successfully go into research, long-term care, sports nutrition, and etc. On the right, you can see kind of another unique aspect of our program graduates. So, many entry-level dietitians obtain employment as kind of a general practitioner, whether it be in the inpatient setting or ambulatory setting. And we've had a large number of graduates be hired directly into specialty clinics, which is really, I think, again, a reflection on the opportunities you'll have in our program. So we've had graduates specifically be hired in preventative cardiology clinics, several eating disorder centers, GI clinics, oncology. Many find work in pediatrics, and then also transplant as a few examples of kind of specialty clinics. So I'm going to start with kind of some overarching themes of the program, and then we'll dive into more of the specifics. So the first thing is you will be enrolled in the Master of Science in Clinical Nutrition degree program through UW-Madison's graduate school, and that will be the degree that you earn. That is the same for all 3 tracks that we have set up, which includes medical nutrition therapy, of which we have the most number of spots. That has been, kind of the concentration of our program for many decades. But we now also have a food systems track and a public health track. And each of those have approximately 5 spots. The full program is 34 graduate credits. It can be completed in 4 semesters full-time. And we also have a part-time option that is typically done over about 6 semesters. So I'm going to walk you through what the full-time 4-semester track looks like. So right after, if you are a May graduate, you begin online. This is 100% online graduate coursework in the very first summer. You take 3 courses to really set you up and get you ready for your experiential learning. So this does allow students to continue to live wherever you need to. If you need to move home or you need to live in the same city that you completed your undergrad, that is a possibility. Starting at the beginning of August, though, that is when you do need to relocate to Madison, Wisconsin, and you continue online graduate coursework, but you also begin your Nutrition and Dietetics Practicum 1. And this is essentially, in terms of the internship, your quote rotations. So you will spend 32 hours a week reporting to your various rotations in clinical, food systems, and public health. You follow that same type of schedule the following spring, where again, you need to be in Madison, Wisconsin. You do your second practicum, and you continue to take online graduate coursework with the practicum credits. So in total, your first and second practicums is just over 1,200 hours of experiential learning. The second summer, the coursework continues to be online, and you then take some elective credits and we worked with students to set up voluntary externships, which allowed them to do a few things. They could gain experience in rotations that they really enjoyed during the 2 prior semesters and wanted more experience. It also allowed us to find opportunities that maybe they didn't get during the fall and spring, and they could continue, kind of exploring different areas of practice. And that externship was, as short as less than 1 week or as long as 4 weeks. So it's very flexible to help us meet your needs. I'm going to now show you, kind of taking this schedule, what a part-time schedule will look like, because we often get a lot of questions about employment and a part-time schedule. So we, as a general advising recommendation, is that the full-time 4-semester program is very intense. It is a lot of time, and it is extremely challenging to work, particularly during your rotation semesters that fall and spring. So what the part-time track offers is that we reduce the total number of graduate credits that you take each semester, and therefore you extend the program by 1 or 2 semesters. This allows individuals most definitely to work more in the summer terms and the second fall and spring. In the first fall and spring, it is important that your rotations do tend to still be 32 hours a week. So that is important to note that, it is not set up to just do a part-time kind of on-site rotation schedule. And then I mentioned that there are 34 total credits for the program, and many of them are through courses that are required because we have competencies tied to them, but we also acknowledge that you will each have your own areas of interest. And so this is a list of some of the sample elective credits that you can choose from. And so depending on your concentration, you'll have between 3 and 6 elective credits that you can choose throughout the program. So now I'm going to turn it over to Robin, and she's going to discuss more specifically the supervised experiential learning and the difference between our concentrations or tracks.
All right, so as Michaela mentioned, you can choose the concentration of your program with us. And so we frequently get asked, well, what does this mean? So all of the students really have the same exposure to different rotation sites or types, if you will. So we'll get more into it, but regardless of which concentration you have, you're going to have a chronic M&T rotation. But if you choose M&T as your chronic or as your concentration, you'll have 24 weeks in a inpatient ambulatory like clinical setting versus 18 weeks if you choose public health or food systems to be your concentration. If you choose public health community, you're going to have 10 weeks focused in public health versus 5, say if you chose, M&T. Same with food systems, you're going to have 10 weeks in food systems instead of the 5 that you would have if you chose one of the other 2 concentrations. Everyone does get to have 2 free choice SELs. So there's an ambulatory free choice, and then there's more of a clinical, for lack of a better term, but it really allows you to pick a different population that maybe you didn't get placed with. You could do parenteral nutrition. You could go to a home care like DME company. So you can work at the Weissman Center, which is where we have metabolic dietitians that specialize in patients with inborn errors of metabolism. So a lot of different opportunities. We also, once our cohort is finalized and confirmed, we'll send out a preference survey. And that really, we do that to best align your experiences with your interests. So we have, for example, surgery. You might be with a dietitian that really focuses on like GI surgery. You might be with someone who focuses on cardiothoracic surgery. or you might have someone that, covers our burn and trauma units. So those options are kind of laid out in the preference survey, and you can rank, which area would be of highest interest. And then we really do our best to try to accommodate people's preferences. So we do that with where you do your food systems rotations, where you go for your public health experiences, and then for some of those clinical experiences as well. Another question we often get asked is, I'm really interested in pediatrics. Can you, have extra peds experiences? And the answer is yes. So really, if someone is very interested in pediatrics and they let us know about that right up front, we can potentially schedule you 10 to 15 weeks throughout the rotation or throughout the program, working with pediatric populations. So our curriculum, so everyone will have food service administration, public health, MNT in the ambulatory setting. You may or may not have clinical nutrition research. It is built into our MNT concentration, but it can be a free choice for food systems or public health. And then the weeks, it just depends on what your concentration is. And then again, everyone has chronic disease, acute disease, surgery, extended care or geriatric nutrition, some pediatrics, critical care, and then what we call a management rotation. So this is really more staff relief, but we call it management because we feel it is your opportunity to manage a unit on your own and really work independently, obviously with the support of a preceptor, but you come in, you organize the day, you get to kind of come up with your list of patients that you're going to see, you assign the acuities, so you're really kind of running the show and like I said, managing your unit. Examples of where you might do a public health experience. So we have partnerships with food banks and food pantries, women, infants, and children, or the WIC clinics, school nutrition. We have affiliations with several different school districts and also the Department of Public Instruction. So they are really the ones that kind of go to all the different school districts and audit, if you will, the schools. Agency for Aging Resources, UW Extension, La Clinica, Access Community Health Center, and then examples of our food systems, again, could be a food bank pantry, our REAP food group. We have a partnership with a local independently owned juice company. So it's a very small business. So it just kind of gives you a different perspective compared to healthcare food service, which is the next option, which is, we have about 200 employees, definitely talking about quantity food production. School nutrition, again, can be more focused on the food service aspect of things. We do have a partnership with the Department of Corrections. So again, it would be, kind of where your interests and preferences lie is how we would try to build your experiences.
And a question I frequently get from students about the different concentrations too, and correct me if I'm wrong, Robin, but if you're in the food systems concentration, you'll not only have 10 weeks instead of 5 weeks, but you'll also experience more of those locations compared to a student not in the track. So more weeks and a larger variety of experience is another way to think about it.
Right. Great point, Michaela. Yes. So yes, so we do take precepting very seriously. This year, we actually have a little bit smaller class than we typically have, but I still have about 85 preceptors. So we have a very robust team that we work with. The majority of the experiences are one-on-one. Our preceptors are certainly recognized as experts in their areas and they're passionate about teaching. So 94% of our preceptors are registered dietitians. Other preceptors, might be their background might be they're a chef, they're a dietetic technician, they're a business owner, or they're a public health manager. 87% of our preceptors have advanced degrees, and 3 of them have PhDs. 35% have a specialty certification of some sort. So maybe they're a certified nutrition support clinician or a certified diabetes educator. And then 35% of our preceptors are actually former graduates of our program. So they've been in your shoes and they understand, and I think, can really relate to what you're going through.
So if you have not taken a look at the national match data, last year was the first time since, at least they show the data, I think going back to 2008, where there were actually more openings in dietetic internships and graduate programs than there were eligible students. So the match rate has now, I think, gone up to about 70%. So it's really a shift because, years ago, the match rate was 50%, and, our marketing skills was what it was. So now you are left with all these choices to make, and how do you decide what program is right for you? So we tried to think of really 3 areas that make our program unique, other than the fact it is at an academic medical center. So the first thing to understand is that the online Master of Science in Clinical Nutrition did launch in 2017, and it was needed to do 2 things: to obviously meet the 2024 graduate requirement, but it also is intended to help practicing dietitians without graduate degrees advance their knowledge and get that graduate degree. So you take the online courses, with the exception of the 2 practicum, where you have to be on site, but you are joining really a vibrant online community, which does include practicing dietitians from around the country. So you may be in a course or a group where you get to learn from a practicing dietitian. And if that makes you very nervous, don't. The feedback that we get is, practicing dietitians are also very nervous. They have not been in school for 5 to 10 years. And so it really is, a wonderful collaboration. They learn from you, the young students who have all this knowledge from your undergrad, and you learn from that practitioner who may have worked in the same area for the past few years. So that has always been something that students actually really enjoy, learning from other dietitians. In addition, starting in 2023, we do have 2 other kind of partnerships with standalone dietetic internships. So there may be students from Virginia Commonwealth Dietetic Internship in Richmond, and also the Mayo Clinic Dietetic Internship in Rochester, Minnesota. So you also will look forward to having classmates from some other programs, which will add to your learning. So this slide takes a little bit, but this is really to promote Madison, Wisconsin. So yes, your online coursework allows you great flexibility, but you still do need to move to Madison, Wisconsin for 2 semesters, the fall and the spring. And the city of Madison, though, is wonderful. It is beautiful. If you have never been here, it is located on an isthmus, and that includes the university, the hospital, and really the downtown area. So we are a very vibrant college town, but we offer, outdoor activities both during the summer and the winter. So do not let the Wisconsin winters scare you away. There's a great local food scene within the Madison area and the state. So the Dane County Farmers Market, which is around our Capitol Square, is the largest producers only farmers market in the country. So that's always a big draw. And the photo on this slide of the students is actually from last month when we visited an organic vegetable farm during our first fall class day. So even if you're not in the food systems track, there's just ample opportunities to enjoy the food scene. And then finally, it's a very classic traditional plug, but after I was an undergraduate at Madison, and I did move to the East Coast. And what struck me is you join an alumni community of over 440,000 Wisconsin Badgers. So wherever you move in the world or the country, you are bound to find another Badger. So that alumni network will most definitely be beneficial. And that includes our internship cohorts from over the years. You always can find someone to connect with. And then finally, yes, we are an academic medical institution. We are, as we like to say, a world-class research institution. And that's true, but we worked really hard to keep this program affordable. So we have tuition and fees under $30,000. Our tuition, we do set the rate, so we can confidently say that we will not increase the $800 per credit tuition for next year. So that is, a very affordable amount. On top of that, please note, it does not include your housing and cost of living. And during the program, you are eligible for financial aid and federal student loans.
All right, so you may be wondering what we look for in our candidates. So students must complete at least a bachelor's degree and ascend accredited coursework requirements. So that's your didactic program in dietetics or your DPD. We do require that from an accredited college or university. And then we are looking for a minimum cumulative GPA of greater than 3 on a scale of 4, greater than or equal to 4, or 3, greater than or equal to 3 on a 4-point scale. But if you are a little bit below that 3.0 and you're really interested in our program, please reach out. We do definitely value having a diverse group of applicants, and sometimes if this is your second career or you're a returning adult student and, your GPA was from, 6 or 7 years ago, but you have all of this really great applicable work experience, we will definitely take that into consideration. So that is not a hard stop. Applicants must either be a citizen of the United States or be able to maintain work authorization throughout the experiential learning rotations at UW Health. So UW Health does not offer visa sponsorship to candidates for the program.
So very exciting news. The new DICAS portal launched yesterday, and we are now located within it. So all programs, whether you are part of the future graduate model or the match internship process, can be found in DICAS. So we are located under the University of Wisconsin Integrated Graduate Program in Nutrition and Dietetics. So that's where you'll find our specific requirements. Our deadline is January 15th. That is the primary deadline for all applicants. We will give acceptance or denial by February 14th, which allows you to, hear our decision prior to that national match deadline. If you are a student from UW-Madison, many of you should already know there is a pre-select option, which that deadline is December 14th. And again, that's only available to UW-Madison DPD students. If after our January 15th application review, there are still positions open, we will accept and review applications on a rolling basis until about 48 hours after the national DI match through D&D Digital. So we acknowledge as a program that there might be students who want to participate in the match, but also have a an application to our program. So we do try to give you that decision if that can sway you. But we also acknowledge that you may have another program. And so we are willing to work with you and that match date. So it is very confusing at this time, given all our different programs. So we're ready to work with you. Encourage you, just head into DICAS. That's where you'll see all of the details. Some of our program specific requirements are these questions in your personal statement. We ask for 3 reference forms, ideally 2 academic and 1 from a supervisor of work experience. And then you'll also notice that we do ask a question about your preferred concentration. And then down here in red, the GRE is not required. We actually lifted this requirement just before COVID. And as you've probably learned with COVID, many programs decided not to require it.
All right. And so students must meet the UW Health employment requirements and Joint Commission and Affiliate Facility requirements, which include, you have a visit at our employee health services. For a physical, you have to have proof of your TB test within 3 months of admission, proof of titers showing immunity, tetanus vaccination within the last 10 years. We do require a COVID-19 vaccination, and then evidence of that hepatitis B vaccination series. So if you do have a documented medical condition that prevents you from being vaccinated or a strong conviction, you can fill out waivers for some of the vaccinations. But I think this is probably going to be fairly standard from program to program. And then we do also require drug screening and a background check upon employment as well. So as Michaela mentioned, there's a personal essay, and we're really hoping to better understand your passion and dedication to the profession. We want to know what your professional goals are. GPA, as I mentioned, is taken into consideration. Your references have a decent amount of weight in your application, and then definitely want to know about your experiences. So whether it's professional experience, volunteer or service related, if you have any experience or exposure to research or quality improvement projects, and if you've done any teaching or leadership. So if you want to learn more, we would love to meet you. So please email us at dietintern@uwhealth.org, and we would be more than happy to set up a virtual meeting, or perhaps if you live locally, meeting you in person.